Now we are live entirely. People can see me and hear me. Hear you probably as well, wife. Now they can see you. But nobody's here yet. We have flower, aloe bloom. With like the fucking trees here contain elven wood, right? Roar, wood scraps. Elven wood, yay. Oh fuck yeah, now we can make a workbench, wife.
Welcome to All Things Scottish. Our slogan is, if it's no Scottish, it's crap!
It's crap! Hey, Stony! Thanks for the sub. Friend. Now you will get a haiku. You motherfucker. A full year you've been subbing. Holy shit. It's insane, Stony. Girls, the wolf crowd out. How you doing today? Doing all right? Nice. Good to hear. The wife is here as well. Hello. She hides behind my back.
Always doing things behind your back.
Always doing things behind my back. He says, hello, wife.
Hello.
We need a haiku for Stony. Yes. All right, Stony, I got your haiku here. Iron brew and crisps. A yummy Scottish diet. And a big crisp roll. That's what you get. Like that it says 12 months sub, yet I followed 11 months ago. It's lying. It's fucking lying. Workbench. Fuck, we need more elven wood for that. Alright, I will fight some goblin men.
Who would choose to live here? Warrior will be ours!
Hated by orcs. Wow.
Ha! This one's stunning.
Wow. Something I've not had in a couple years, crisp roll. The first time I heard about a crisp roll, I was like, I thought it was super disgusting. But everything I've heard about people who have had crisp rolls is that like it's really delicious.
That's a one more for me.
Killed all the goblins. Wife,
What?
I have murdered the goblin men.
Nice.
Yes.
I am starving.
Where are you starving? You should go eat something. Hey, ducky! It's a good steak. Nice. Sick. Nice. We get the key. We unlock the chest. We take everything in here. Hey, Dr. Hoobs. Hello, big sexy Swedish man. Wow. I don't know if I'm sexy, but I'm big and Swedish. This is true. How are we doing today? How's everyone doing? Oh my gosh, I'm looking super pretty in all this natural light.
A bear nest.
A bear nest. Yeah. Just want to make that fucking workbench. I'm hashtag loving life today, chat. Nice to hear. You should be loving life. Anything special? Any special reason why you're loving life today? Fuck you, K-Bear. How dare you accept me? Ouchies. I'm not doing any damage to this fucker. You loving lives, you murdered someone. Dude, what the fuck? Why would you have murdered someone? What if... Can I take the bear over here?
Have you seen?
Orcs avoid the elven quarter. Hey, Bartol!
Fuck you, Riley! I made your mom so wet, Trudeau deployed a 24-hour infantry unit to stack sandbags around my bed!
Yeah, the new DLC, I thought it would be free. But like I had some, supposedly me and the wife had some epic credits for it. So it was just like the equivalent of $10 for us. It was really nice. Hey bestie! Hoops got absolutely hammered last night and woke up with no hangover. I had some absolutely beautiful breakfast. So like,
John the non-believer.
Fuck you, man. You're not allowed to do that.
John.
If you're gonna get plastered, you need to be hungover. That's the rule. And I'm happy for you. Oh, to be young again. Seriously though. Wife had 4 beers last night and she's not doing too well today.
And welcome drinks.
And welcome drinks, sorry, it's true. It was like literal glittery something.
Like Prosecco, I think?
It was a Prosecco that had glitter in it.
Yeah.
Sick. Has wifey become a lightweight? Hasn't she always been a lightweight?
I have become, excuse you.
Wow, okay, sure.
I survived university.
You did survive university in Sweden, no less.
In Lund.
Lyleby _ just redeemed kiss wife.
Oh my
Smooch
gosh.
the wife.
Kiss wife. Now they saw my butt. When me and wife have been out without you, she was not a lightweight. I mean, as long as you're outside. Lyleby loves you. She wanted me to tell you.
I love Lyleby.
You better. Bast. Oh, we get a new pack, and we can have a bow. Very nice. Very, very nice.
I made a repair station.
Yes, I saw. I'm very happy about this as well. We should build something out here. Ooh, a forge next to the repair station? Yes. And the furnace. We could have that here somewhere. The first proof is on the way right now, so I'll leave soon. I'm making saffron buns. Oh my gosh, nice. Alex gör lussekatter.
Nice.
Insane. The saffron buns. Or as we say in Sweden, the lussecats. No, we don't. I'm being silly. Wife, would you like a hunting bow?
Yes. I'm like Aaron Burr. I love shooting things from afar.
Such a nerdy fucking reference. Would you like a new adventures pack as well?
The bigger one?
Yes?
I love them bigger.
Well,
Yes,
too
please.
bad. Alright, we have enough for one adventurous pack, so I'll make that for it's in the workshop here.
But it's more reasonable if you have it. You're the one who's gonna go running and exploring.
Alright.
If we only can make one,
Right now, yeah.
you keep it. You're gonna be running and exploring. I'm gonna be here making a house.
Okay. Thank you. I very much dislike that you, like, when you carry stuff, you walk so slowly. Wife,
What?
I will drop some arrows and a bow. There you go. I think we can make hats as well. I fucking burnt my finger cooking breakfast and it stinks like a motherfucker. Oh, too bad, man. Do you want a trapper hat? Yes, you do, because you don't have a hat. You forgot the arrows, wife. Hold the part of the finger that still stings to your earlobe. It will help a bit. Like, press it to your earlobe. Ooh, interesting. I'm gonna save the elven arrows, I think. Let's see.
Wait, so we cannot build a door here?
We
That's
can't?
annoying and stuff.
Like, you can't build a door in the door hole?
No?
That's fucking stupid. Just a tip I got once that works, at least for me. Dope.
Wait, maybe I can.
You can grab the warding Abok there. Nice. There's so much more room in my fucking backpack now.
Oh, whoops. Ah, fucking wolf.
I made it sting more, might just need to put some germaline on it. What is germaline? So where is the Muznakan for Narvi? I thought it was here somewhere. Oh. Hello, Wolfies. Lavender essential oil works wonders on burn in my opinion. Says Duffy. We're not gonna throw the axe. We kinda need to eat as well, again, actually.
I'll make stews.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
We need 2 each, right?
I think so, yeah, but I think that table that we have only has place for 1 each. So I probably just need the 1 right now anyways. Repair.
Quiet. I see prey ahead.
Oh my gosh, I hit it. Nice. I'm gonna put some meat over there. Food? Thank you for the food, wife. I will now leave you. Like, I'll go back to our old base to grab the last of the things we have there. I'm also practicing my shooty shoots. Ouchies. I'm tired already. Fuck off, man. Unacceptable. Oh, come on. How am I missing? I'm gonna try to get enough material for you to get a backpack as well, wife. In darkness? What? It's just dusk. How can I be in darkness? Darkness of Nightfall. I should just go back so we can sleep then. Oh shit! Wolves. Thanks for the lurk, bestie. Hope your baking goes well. Doc, I've got to the part of learning about objects in Swedish and I fucking love the word for fridge. Kylskåp. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? It literally just means cooling cabinets. I love it. Is it like the sound of it you enjoy? Kylskåp. Oh, you're making dinner?
Breakfast.
Breakfast! Your bedroll rest. It sounds funny. It does sound funny, doesn't it? Oh, ouch. We're eating roast meat for breakfast.
Oh, right, breakfast.
Breakfast! There's so much meat. I'm gonna make some roasted cranberries as well. No push-ups right now. We just had lunch and I had so much to eat. So I'm not doing any push-ups push-ups at the moment. Kylskåp. It means refrigerator in Swedish. It's a beautiful word. The most beautiful word. Fantastic word. Is that like an arrow I have sticking out of my backpack? It's such a weird thing to have just sticking out of your backpack like that. Now come on, fucking. The animation on these animals is super weird. Alright, we're just gonna run back. No push-ups. You're not allowed to force me to do push-ups today. Sadly. For you. It's annoying because like R is usually a reload button in most games, but here it's throw. No fuel available. Cranberries. Desk sounds like skateboard. Skrivbord, you mean? What's your favorite word in both English and Swedish? Oh my gosh. I think in English, my favorite word is kerfuffle. I think it's super cute. It is a wonderful word. We had a slight kerfuffle. And I think my favorite Swedish word would be konkelbär.
No! Four!
My wife hates that word.
And you swore not to use it.
Just like you swore not to say musta, but you have every chance you've gotten. Hmm?
I never swore.
Wow. Made lots of kerfuffles in wreath making. Oh, like it's an actual thing in wreath making? It's dingleberries. In English. And the wife does not enjoy that word. For some reason.
I was very happily unaware of that word until you.
By the way, I think I got everything in our base now, so we don't need to run back. So kerfuffle is a type of fold. Interesting. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Alright, because we can't walk over there, because the gate to Duran's Highway is cursed, so we can't walk there. And that's my favorite Swedish word, just because the wife hates it. But in all seriousness, what would be my favorite Swedish word? I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite Swedish word. Honestly. It's terribly sorry, Dr. Hoops. Hopefully it has eggs in it right now. It doesn't look like it. Looks like it's feathers. My favorite has to be kylskåp at the moment. Kylskåp is a pretty good word. I agree. Pretty good. I'd love to be able to find more eggs. Kiss wife? May I kiss your wife?
No.
No, I'm not allowed
Kids
to.
underscore just redeemed kiss wife.
And no means no.
Smooch the wife.
I'm terribly sorry. I will kiss her at some later point though, when she is not mad at me anymore. Because that will happen, right? Like you'll stop being mad at me sometime. Wife?
You're making a fool of yourself, you fucking labradoodle!
I think the wife will divorce me. Alright, I don't have space for it. That sucks. Oh, nice. Well shot to them. Well shot. I heard the wolf. May we please get the lizard back? Only if people promise not to abuse it. Only then will you have the lizard back. It's a new thing.
It's a newt thing?
Shut up.
Come on, that was hilarious.
That was super hilarious, yes.
Lizard. 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 Lizard.
It's a lizard pressing a lizard button and the computer saying lizard over and over.
Lizard. Lizard.
That That's horrible.
It's what? Why would it be horrible? It's cute. Sorry, the wife doesn't understand culture. We're gonna put some stuff away. I'm thinking we're gonna have like hides and cloth in here. Maybe horrible, but it's very popular with most streamer redeems now. Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. I incorporated it here because I know Nobles loves it. I'm gonna grow some mint and chives and shit. This is the food box. Food and seeds. Mint. Alright, we have roasted cranberries in the house. Wait. If you would like some. There we go. Okay, sorry, I can't get rid of the orcish chest. That's annoying. Very, very annoying, actually. Deconstruct. There we go. I made a Discord bot to remind me and my friends when our deadlines are, and it sent its first automated message reminder this morning, and it has filled me with so much joy seeing my program work and the fact I've done that assignment. Fucking nice, bro. That is beautiful, that is. Well done, Mr. Hoobs. There we go. We're gonna place this here. We can just place a fuck ton of stuff here. No, we need like a separate box for valuables, right? I don't know what to do with the Muznakans from Ori, because we already finished that one. We have 11 more. We'll have a separate box for old equipment and shit. It's a tad annoying because they can't automate the deadlines being added. Well, that's... sounds like a skill issue. Just gotta get better, man. Oh my gosh. We're gonna put that away. Alright, and now we need a valuables chest. Can have that here. There we go. Nice. Right, wife. Everything is A-okay now. Ask for read-only access to the backend of where they upload the assignments, and apparently that's too big of a GDPR issue. Oh, that sucks, man. It's too bad. Figured that's what they would tell me, but it was worth a shot. Yeah, I mean, you'll never know if you don't ask. Wife, there is a new backpack for you in here. A backpack that is twice as big. Look at it, the adventurer's backpack. Oh, nice! You built a nice little stairs here as well. Oh, and upstairs? Oh, what? What is this? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Some guy in the 21st century. That's fucking Wayne Gretzky, bro. Put some respect on his name. It's number 99, the great one. Notice my top emotes I use from your lives. Funny. Very supportive. I really should have fucking known that. Man, everyone should know that. It's like required reading. Holy fuck, there's a lot of animals here right now. Got a bear over here. Got some wolves. Oops. Mostly from the Peak and Repo gameplay streams. Me and the girlfriend tried Repo and that shit was way too scary. Repo is kinda scary. I still haven't tried Peak yet. I do want to play it though. Just don't know when. Especially since me and the wife are now
Quiet. I see prey ahead.
Hooked on this game, and I've been playing Satisfactory by myself as well. You need to play Bloons. I play a little bit of Bloons. What's scary about Repo? Fucking everything, dude. The monsters, the sounds. So much scary stuff in Repo. Just because you're super brave. See, if you want to get rid of stuff, throw it in the water. No, not getting in water. Yeah, I'm gonna fight the orcs here in the Elven Quarter, wife.
Now it's almost nighttime.
Filthy dwarves!
It's late afternoon, it's not almost nighttime.
It's the middle of the night.
Swish, swish, swish.
That is all you've got?
I am the amazing twirling dwarf. You need to see the tricycle in Repo. It's so cute. And there's a bicycle. Wait, like a sentient bicycle that you get attacked by? That's pretty fucked up. No, number 5. Oh, no, I ate raw meat. We're just gonna put that away so I don't accidentally eat raw meat again. And there's a dog as well. That's scary. I don't want a dog to be something scary. But then it's decided I won't ever play Repo again. Just don't want to ruin dogs. Oh my gosh. I am so fucking good at this game. I'm just killing stuff left and right. No, I can't go up there. I'm trying to black border another map today. Oh, and balloons? Nice. I don't see the duck as much. Good. Fucking hate the duck in that game. It's so annoying. Ooh, nice. Nice. Dwarves! Alright. Close enough. That's good.
That's a one more for me.
Fear of Heights by South Arcade. Forge a steel pickaxe is our new goal. Fucking die. Oh, come on. Ooh. Just running away all weird like. There you go. Did you hurt yourself, wife?
I'm trying to get out of here. I have gone to bed, and
Yep.
I will go to the toilet.
Oh, okay. Just.
Haha, keep on.
You don't hate me anymore? Nice. Good. She no longer hates me. Yay. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Really, pole marksman shit. In darkness? Fuck off, man. Another Nargans Nakan. Oh, come on. There we go. Darkness of Night Falls. Alright, I actually gotta go. But the song was nice. It was a good song. Didn't hate it. Didn't fall in love with it either. Yarr. Pokey catch. Probably head to bed. craft some breakfast. I've been quite enjoying Laufey recently. Nice. Cool, didn't catch it. Wait, we're just gonna Laufey. This is Laufey. Santa Claus is coming to town. Nice. That's where we're starting. We're playing there. This is list. We're gonna make some more roasted cranberries for the wife. On your mom. Rommegrot pudding. Sounds nasty. This is coming on your mom. Sorry. It's not where Santa Claus is coming. It's on Mrs. Claus. Deposit owl stone. We're gonna make some more fucking arrows. We're gonna throw this shit away. Oh, come on. You can climb up there, but you can't climb over nothing. For fuck's sake, man. Can we? Whee! Goodbye. Whoops. No, we're not gonna throw away our axe. Right, we have Norby's missing hand. I think we just needed the one as well, right? So this is one of the parts, yeah. Get replacement pipe. Yeah! I'm gonna go visit Santa at the mall, and when I sit on his lap, I'm gonna ask for Scottish man. Whoa! Sick. I'm also gonna wish for a Scottish man from Santa. Twinsies.
Elven forge. In an elven hall. Within Khazad-dûm. Must be rubble in my eyes.
Must be rubble in my eyes. This is kind of cool, though. So you find the Elven Quarter here in Khazad-dûm pretty early on. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. Nope. Alright. I don't remember how to get it up there. I've done it before. Last time we played through all of this. Oh, come on. There we go. We get a gear here. We're gonna place that up there. The great furnace of Narvi is damaged. Hello, wife. Did you utterly destroy our toilet?
Cool.
Nice. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Lizard. Lizard. Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard.
Lizard. Lizard.
I don't
Lizard.
like this thing.
Lizard. Lizard.
Why not?
Lizard. 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 Lizard.
That's the lizard.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Lizard. Lizard.
I just heard it through your stream and the headphones, and it was very annoying. But that was cute.
That's cute. That's yes. Under siege camp, the Elven Quarter. What the fuck?
Oh fuck! I'm dying. I'm dying.
The fuck? I'm coming to you. I'm running towards you as fast as I can.
Yeah, I'm just about dying here. I'm starving. Great.
There's food on the table for you. 2 foods for you only. I can hear them. Ew.
Can I eat while I'm being super attacked?
I don't know. Husband power!
This one's
Yep.
done in.
We gotta run away from them. Like, try to get them to follow us somewhere else. Or, oh, wait, they're stuck there. No, come on. There we go. The siege has ended. Good, good.
I didn't like this.
No, we need to build like a perimeter or something.
Yes.
Like
Love
even
that.
even if it's just like a small wall or something.
Yes. All right. Where do we want it to go? Oh no.
I leave that entirely up to you, wife. You are the master builder.
I am.
You're the masturbator?
Quiet. I see prey ahead.
Oh my god.
Wait, I need a car.
You can definitely build more
Wait,
hearts.
small heart?
You can build a small heart as well.
Close to that one.
I mean, you should be able to. I don't know though.
I'll try.
Try. It never hurts to try, as they say.
It worked.
Nice. Fucking cow deer. There you go. Dead. Your meat is mine. Alright, this is really cute music, but it's not my vibe right now, so we're gonna change again. Ooh. Hey. Here, we're gonna see if we can jump over here. Woo! Nope, we could not.
Did you die?
Yes. Died.
Seriously?
I mean, died and died. I respawned immediately. Dwarf parkour. Dwarf. Alright. Oh, come on. I can get headshot. Forget. How can I miss when I'm 2 feet away? Fuck's sake. There we go. Ooh, there's a fucking chest here as well. Look, a fucking chest. Chasing rainbows. Alright. Maybe if we can make the tall, rough stairs. Build near a hearth. Fuck off. Alright, let's see if this works at all. Ah. I think if you just write playing or song should work. Song? Yeah. There we go. Oh my gosh, we're breathing life into Narvi's Great Forge.
Won't you get a sack immediately when you do that?
Yeah, but I mean, I can deal with that. It's fine. I'm a badass. Do you want to come here and help me then? I would not mind. I just didn't think you liked fighting. A horde is coming. Yeah. Steel ingot, Erigion
in the
spear,
deep.
steel pickaxe.
They are coming!
They are coming. The horde is here. They're coming. Oh, they died from one strike. The small ones, at least.
Ha ha ha! That's a one more for me.
Are you on your way? Why not?
You said you could do this without me. You don't need me.
Nobody should. Right, we're not friends anymore.
That is all you've got?
Exactly. Because you chose it.
I chose violence. Oh, I might die actually. Are you here? Oh my gosh! Wife to the rescue! Oh jeez. I have very little HP left.
You're leaving.
Fuck yeah, did we win? Oh yeah, wave! You're the
I
best.
should have left you to die.
You should have, but you are too kind and too nice. It did, right? It really sounded like the two Johnnies. That's why the song got stuck with me at first as well. The 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, thank you very much, wife. I appreciate you and everything you do here.
You're stupid.
I am stupid.
Why are you stupid?
Who knows?
Don't say stupid.
Who knows why I'm stupid? Why is any man stupid? You know?
These very small dick brains.
It's very small dick brains.
Love you.
I mean, you're not wrong. This is just very mean, I feel. Oh my
I just
gosh.
saved your life.
You did. Thank you very much, wife. Wife, the savior of life. My god.
Dribs underscore just redeemed street.
Street. Thank you. Oh, come on. My headphones are dying now as well. You know what, I could take a little break and charge them. Like, that'd work. I don't want to fight anything here. Oh nice, you built a little wall. Love the look of it. It's very nice. Can we make steel here? We can. Fucking nice.
What?
We can make steel at home as well. I thought we could only make it in the Great Forge. Oh, you built a better table. Nice. Thank you, wife. I eat mushrooms too. Oh, you immediately go to full health if you eat. It's pretty good to know. Alright. Welcome back from the ad viewers. I'm actually gonna run out for a break and charge my headphones. So, we'll be right back with more from your favorite streamer. Bye-bye. I'm back, bitches. Whoa. I can dodge roll. I'm gonna make dinner for us. If that's okay with you, wife. It is night after all. Nighttime. Nighttime. Balls. She's handsome, she's pretty, she's double pussy. Oh my gosh, cool. When you cook food, the like smoke from the hearth goes to the nearest table that it's gonna be served at. It's very cute. Sleepy time. Wakey time. I'm making breakfast. She's gonna make more steel. And then we're gonna make a steel pallet. We're gonna see what we can create here. We need elven wood for a steel hammer, elven wood for a steel pickaxe. Alright, I'm gonna go chop some wood. You would like a steel pickaxe and a steel hammer as well, right? Dear wife. You would like a steel pickaxe and a steel hammer, dear wife?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Actually hit the big trees as well. It won't touch. You can't check the health of it. Oh my gosh. Didn't even get that much wood from it. Fuck off. Alright. I'm not cutting down that tree again. I need the big trees rather. Wow. 2 steel hammers coming right up. And 1 steel pickaxe. Never mind, it's 2 steel pickaxes. Oh! You moved stuff. Or you destroyed stuff.
When do we get the rope ladders?
We already have them, we just need to know how to make rope. Oh my gosh, what up Samwise? 'Tis a wife, lurking, ready to pounce at any given time. The wife is definitely ready to pounce at any given time. She's a sneaky, sneaky one.
What?
What? Oh, you haven't eaten your breakfast, honey.
Did you make a special place to put all the weapons and stuff?
Yes, over in the corner, over here. How are you, Sammy? What's happening, man? I'm gonna grab a fuck ton of stone because we will start repairing stuff. Just getting over this cold, hopefully soon. Oh man, sad to hear that you have a cold. Hope you do get better soon though. That would be poggers, as the kids say. We have iron over there. We have like 3 statues very close by the base. Just gonna get some more elven wood. This is new, by the way, because I cut down these trees last time we played, and now they're grown back. And last time we played this game, no trees would ever grow back. That was super annoying. You usually don't get sick as sick as everyone else. I figure tomorrow will be my last day. You're just gonna decide that, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be more sick tomorrow. Last day. I support this. Yeah, there we have another fucking thing.
Quiet. I see prey ahead.
Jesus. So many animals here. We can get a new shield. Whoop, whoop. I think we used to have a base up here as well last time we played this. Yeah, for sure. Iron ore. That's the last Narvi carving. Nice. Alright. Another Narvi carving. Narvi. Another one. Holy shit. Is that you or me?
Maybe.
What?
Well, technically both, I suppose.
Is it the wildlings?
No, it was my little sister.
Your little sister. Your sister.
She's calling you silly for being afraid of ceramic
Santas? The ceramic Santa Clauses are scary though. Can't tell me otherwise.
Yes, you can.
No, you're not allowed. I'm gonna mine some coal. This is my favorite mechanic of this game, is that you can sing while you mine, and then if you finish the song, you don't lose any stamina while mining.
Farewell, farewell, my one true love. Farewell, farewell, says she. For though my heart stays tied to shore, I now must cross the sea.
Wow, you just redeemed hydrate. Glug glug mother lover.
Hydrate? Alright.
My pickaxe swings through.
Water, 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 water.
Thanks for the water, Louis. Hope you're doing well today, friend. Whoa. Oh, y'all are here. Oh, I'm tired of this. Alright, we're gonna run back home to the wife, and we are going to rest in the bed. Nice. I think we got a new hat, wife. And another shield.
I like hats.
You like hats? Yeah, I finished the new carving, the Musnakan thing. There we go. Deposit all coal, deposit all steel. Deposit that. Elvenwood pallet. Didn't we have like a bunch of build lore tomes? Sure. Oh, they were there. Never mind. Never mind. I'm just being a silly goose. Honk, honk, honk. It says I'm tired and that I need to rest, so I'm resting, but the tired thing is not immediately disappearing. It's very annoying. Would you like some roast meat for dinner, wife?
Yes.
Nice. Hey, X-Gamer is here as well. What up, X-Gamer? How you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. It's super well. These we can repair. There we go. We need bronze for Last Alliance shield, and we don't have that. And the new hat we got is just same tier, but it looks slightly different than the one you have on. How about you, your wife? We are both good. We are tired. We were out partying late last night. And we are not young anymore. So we are tired, almost dying today. But still happy. Right, wife?
What?
You're happy?
About?
About life in general, even though you are tired.
I don't know that that's a thing that's true.
Wow, okay. So you heard it here first, gang. My wife hates me.
Hates what?
You hate me.
Oh. I didn't.
Well, now you know. Oh, you got a door on the thing. How?
I had to cut it down with pickaxe.
Makes sense.
I'm gonna move our bedrolls.
Yes, do it.
Because now they're right in the doorway.
You are the master builder. And I think you also called yourself the master baker.
Well, both are true.
Productive. A simple dinner increases restoration strength and reduces energy cost for a short time. Cool. Whoa. Alright, we're gonna go and grab some iron probably. So we can make more steel. Okay, never mind. It's nighttime now. Nighttime. I'm gonna prepare breakfast. Sleepy time. As long as I live, I will be happy because being dead is worse than any problem in life. Yes, very true. Did you say that just now, just today? Quoting yourself, man. Cool stuff. Oh my gosh. Let's see.
Should we run into this fireplace?
We should, right? Because we have what we can get here. But there might be new weapons and shit we can make in the Great Forge. Come to think of it. I'm gonna grab what I can here. There we go. Dawn is at hand. We're gonna see what we can create in the Great Forge. Because I'm pretty sure we can make a spear. That's pretty good. Quote from your brain, yo. Insane, man. Insane. Move out of my way, you horsey deer llamas. Let's see. No, we need bronze for the Eregian spear. And everything else. Yeah, so we can make ships. Steel was only good for the hammer and the pickaxe. Just saying randomly at like middle of the night, my brain just comes from crazy real life facts that hit so nice. It's good stuff, man. Then you know your brain is working.
I'm going into the fireplace.
Alone? Jesus, I'm just gonna... Alright, fuck it. I'm just gonna run after you. Wait for me, wife! I have tiny legs! We're gonna be doing some crazy stuff at night. For sure, bro. For sure. Wife! We got iron here.
Oh,
the
mines of Moria. I hope you lead to Dwarodelf, and some treasures along the way.
Alright, and when we're here, if we mine too much, we make too much sound, and we can attract the horde. We can make furnishings now. Wait. Oh my god. Beautiful stuff.
Oh, the mines of Moria.
So this is a Lord of the Rings game. It is Return to Moria. It's after the Fellowship, like the original trilogy, and yeah, it's about Gimli leading a band of dwarves back to Moria to retake it, and then a cave-in happens, and
there's a tavern in the deep, they say, hum-da-dee-o-day-o, where the barkeep runes to the tune they play, hum-da-dee-o-day-o, hum-da-dee-o-do. And once you know how the ditty goes, hum-diddy-o-do, means at the oaken door with the raven crest, you can sing for your supper and a good night's rest. Hum-diddy-o-day-o, hum-diddy-o-do.
Like, I have crazy hours on Satisfactory just because I let the game run where I'm away from...
orcs!
Ah, shit. Well, I'm away from the computer as well. I got goblins shooting at me, wife.
Stay out of our mountain.
Fuck, and bats. Asshole bats. Sorry. Jesus fucking Christ. This isn't even the horde. This is just random fuckers.
I need a better...
I
Alright, that's some iron there.
That's a one more for me.
Thank you, wife. I appreciate you and everything you do.
But my guy kept saying he needs a better weapon.
Yeah, mine too. And like, I agree, but I don't know how to get that or where.
Oh, kurva!
Oh, kurva. Eggs.
Oh, you took the eggs.
Yes. 120 hours in this one save. Nice. I think I clocked in at 163 when I shut the game off for today. Fallen Dwarf, I will honor. Mr. Morris, it is the dwarf game. The best dwarf game there is, actually. Seen me being AFK a lot? Yeah.
I have copper.
You have copper?
Yep.
Nice, I have tin. So yeah, now we get copper ingots and stuff. Fucking sweet. Alright. We need to repair more statues.
The mines of Moria. What a shame to have left all of this
Did you see the
ore
sign I left a
behind.
few days ago? I think so, yeah. I left the sign back. Climb.
Alright, that was kind of a small lane. I got it already.
Nice. What is this?
Lizard. 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 Lizard.
Can I jump over there? Whoa, I could not. No fall damage. Alright. It's late morning. We still got a bunch of time in the mines here. Yeah, the lizard is what enemy was fucking about with last time he was here. I had to like turn it off just because he was spamming it so much. And I'm not afraid to turn it off again. Oh. Wife, you're heading into some trouble over there.
Yep. Well, are you shooting?
Yeah, I was shooting at them.
What?
Well,
To
What? What?
clear them out for you. Fuck you, goblin. Nice. Well
Wife
done.
is the best and we love her.
Wifey is the best. This is very, very true. No one is better than my wife. Literally no one. We need natural fibers to build rope ladders and shit, but I don't know how to make that. Is it from the spiders, do you think?
yes.
Alright. I will kill rats to get their meat. Come here, food rat. Hello, wife.
Hello.
My lord. I'm pretty sure, like last time we played this, we had a base somewhere in this mine as well.
Yeah.
Like there's a building further down we can place a base at.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so excited for when we get the teleporter thingies.
The double sense. Yeah, the fast travel's gonna be dope.
You know what to do.
I've been also playing a lot of ZZZ lately. I started playing like 3 months ago. Such a good game. What is ZZZ? What kind of game is that? Oh, we do take fall damage. Fuck. I didn't realize. Okay, I'm grabbing some iron ore here. While we're here.
So I think it's down here.
Right? I also think it's like down below. Senless Zone 0. I haven't heard of it. I'm coming for the baddies. Coming on the baddies?
Filthy.
Yeah, I remember this.
I need a better weapon for this.
Yeah, but this was just a small camp.
Yeah.
As far as I remember.
Like a pit stop.
Yeah. Oh, I found a carving. I'll stop your pit. Yeah. There's more copper down here as well. Alright, it's afternoon now. Should we try to, like, maybe go back up? Wait, no, the spiders are out and about in the night, right? Yeah, this is not where it was. But I'm finding Ranger's journal pages like crazy. Like I found 4 here. If I remember correctly, you could like put them in a book and then you got a recipe or something. Kuzgul Oats. Yeah, 100% we've been here before. Like in a previous playthrough. But I think what we should do now is like go back up.
Yes.
Grab some resources for the next trip down. And then start building a base here as well. Because I'm pretty sure this area is where we get the black diamonds that makes it possible to fast travel. It's a free game. Right? Yeah, further down.
But yeah.
Yeah. Free game by Hoyoverse, and it's also made Genshin, but that is like the best game they've made so far. Is it like a fighting game? ZZZ. Is this even the way we're supposed to go? No, this is not it. Oh, this is it. I love this game. It's so nice. Just gonna grab some quick iron. Sing a little song.
Well, there's always food and there's always drink. Hum-diddy-o-day-o. You can stomp your feet while the anchors clink. Hum-diddy-o-day-o. Hum-diddy-o-do. And once you know how the ditty goes, hum-diddy-o-do, means at the open door with the raven crest. You can sing for your supper and a good night's rest. Hum-diddy-o-day-o, hum-diddy-o-do.
Yes.
Man, the steel pickaxe is such an upgrade from the first pickaxe. Can't wait until we get Duran's axe though. That's the one that glows in the dark as well, right?
Oh yeah, I think so.
You need to find all 5 pieces of it though. Action RPG. Play as a proxy, getting a team of characters to dive into dangerous dimensions called hollows. Instead, you fight corrupted monsters in fast, flashy combo heavy combat. Gotcha. Oh, no, don't say sorry. A good burp is a good burp.
Better out than in, I always say.
Oh, better out than in, always say. It's just late afternoon. I think we're gonna like chop some elven wood here. Story is surprisingly well made. I might check it out since it's free. It's a game that Xgamer is suggesting that I might check out. This is a free game. So cute. Ooh, there's more iron over here. Let's fucking grab some iron ore. Like, it doesn't hurt to have a bunch of it. I'd rather have more than I need than less than I need. It does have gacha mechanics because they gave some revenue. Have some revenue. I don't mind gacha mechanics though. Like, I think that's kind of fun. I don't mind it at all. Like, especially if it's a free game and they have gacha mechanics in it. It's like, yeah, you can spend money to circumvent that and just get exactly what you want. Or you can just play the game and explore it for free. And enjoy the randomness. Like, if a game like Baldur's Gate had gacha mechanics, I'd be less happy about it. But like combat-heavy games, I don't give a fuck about that. They can have gacha mechanics. Only spend $20 in the game, but well, that's how those types of games make the big money as well. It's just early evening. I feel like we could have explored more. Oh, could you cook food, by the way, Queth?
Because I'm a woman?
Yes. Your vagina makes you exquisite at making food. It is a prerequisite of making food. It's just the seasoning. Worth though. Nice. Like, there are some cosmetic packs you can buy for this game as well that me and the wife looked at, but neither one of us really enjoyed paying money for only cosmetic stuff. Like, the DLC cost like $10 for us because we had a credit with Epic Games. And the DLC gives you like new storyline, new areas to discover, stuff like that. And that feels kind of worth it. How long you stream for today? I don't know, man. We'll see. For as long as we feel like. Maybe less. Who knows? Oh my gosh. Oh wow, it's really dark now as well. I don't mind though. This is kind of cozy. I will melt some bronze ingots, I think. There was one bronze ingot. Let's see. That is the wrong chest for that, but the wife would not know this because she doesn't care. Place there. No. It's not too dark here, I don't think. There's a little bit of low light, but it's very cozy, I'd say. Don't you think it's cozy, wife? Hmm. We have too much food now. I'm gonna grab, we'll keep that. Oh, nice. It is dinner time, wife. Armor stand, weapon rack, elven wood chest. Cool. No, wait, can I? We can build an oven, a roasting pit, and a brew kettle. Crude farm patch. A hearth-like marker for building farm areas. The dwarves borrowed the concept of a scarecrow from the hobbits, unaware of its true purpose. Cool. That's very interesting. My dear wife, did you have any copper?
Yeah, I put all the copper.
Oh, nice. Yeah, good. Oh my gosh, we can make a wall display. Yeah, for the gem cutter we need ubasam wood, and that's a far way away. We can build lore cases and shelves. Oh my god, cool. We'll build it tomorrow, I guess. On camera, you're barely visible. I know. Maybe I don't want to show my face too much. How about that? Mushroom scramble, cool. Erebor strip steak, sweet. Let's see if we can build that in here. No. We should build it up here. Build lowercase. Study. Build lore print. Studied ancient lore build. Tiny chance building costs no ingredient. Dope. Holy shit, that's cool. This is a really nice buff to have. Are you taking a break, wife?
Yes.
Nice. Oh my god, so when you add tomes and scrolls here, it actually fills in the shelves. That's fucking dope. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Put that there, put that there. Alright. I need some wood for that one. I need more copper. Yeah, just more copper overall. Hero's token. Soil dressing. I'm gonna grab some wood so we can make platforms. Ready to adventure more, wife?
I need to leave off a few more things.
Okay.
But I'll just put them anywhere. It's fine.
Is it fine to just put them anywhere?
Yes! You don't mind. Let's go.
I don't mind.
You love it so much.
I do.
Wait! I need a candy.
You need a candy?
I need a candy.
Then I will run along without you. Ha ha ha.
Ow! Do you
Funny
want
because
candy?
how dark is the lack of light.
I have a vegan candy for you.
You have a vegan candy for me?
Are you gonna run away from it?
Yes.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too. I have candy and I'm unsupervised. Oh no, the wife is following me. My wife is stalking me. Oh my god, there you are. So scary. You're literally just following me. Behind me.
Yeah. What?
Nothing. Oh my gosh. My nose is itchy. Oh fuck, do you have any stone?
No. I put them in.
Lizard. 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 Lizard.
Hey, welcome back, ad viewers. Thank you for
Lizard. Lizard.
what?
Here, I dropped stone for you. Right there.
Thank you. What happened? What did you say? Fucking shit.
The lizard
Okay.
freaking me out.
Oh, that doesn't work. Oh my gosh, I found poop.
I found
Me too, I also found cave honey. Maybe I found a cave honey.
I'm your cave hunter.
Finally have 20 stone. Oh my gosh. Last Alliance Mall. Cool. Was there like copper over here as well?
Yeah, I got it.
All of it? Nice. And that's adamant. We can't get that.
This down here?
Yeah. But I think this is
Another outpost of
another
forest.
outpost. Yeah. Nice.
Lizard. 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 Lizard.
Wife is not liking lizards.
Somebody doesn't like me. Who is that?
Lizard.
No, no one.
Who
No.
is not liking me? 'Cause I thought most of your viewers liked me.
This time it was. This time it was Bestie. She actually
Wow.
spent money on it as well. You did not have to
What?
do that, Bestie.
Oh. You are on the shit list.
You are apparently on the shit list now.
Now, to be fair.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it, right? Yeah. We need black diamond for it, though. Right, I'm gonna rebuild the hearth. I'm scared of your wife, and she knows it. Welcome back, Bestie.
Is
Oh.
she really welcome
Also, everyone is afraid of my wife. She is scary. You want to stay here and repair while I walk around and try to find more materials?
Yes,
You don't have to.
I'm scared.
This is scared. Alright, I'm just heading in this direction to begin with. Compacted dirt. That's what I call my... No, it's not. Oh, fuck. I found some, spiders!
I need a better weapon
Oh,
for
Jesus
this.
fucking Christ. What? Huh? I'm gonna try to shoot them because they can't walk through the hole I made, but they can shoot through it. They're literally all like black and red as well. They look super deadly. Yuck. They're not fighting back, which is nice.
Oh, yeah, something.
Goblins, at your back.
Get her!
Sure is.
We got orcs.
Thank you, wife. Those actual goblins. Well, not like shitty goblins.
That is all you've got?
And an actual orc, not a goblin man. Ouch, that's 40 damage he did to me. Oh, yeah. Murder.
And this music.
Yeah, what? It's beautiful, isn't it?
I feel good.
You didn't get me with that, but you got the wife. Poor my wife.
Wife is the best and we love her.
She's the cutest, this is true.
I need stones. Do you have stones?
I have stones. I have 18 stones.
Give me stones, please.
And you are gonna
Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down.
No, stronger pickaxe. Right. Ooh, more tin? Nice.
Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
Who, me?
No, not you. Not everything is about you, wife.
Everything is about me, not you.
Yes.
If you lose your way and your torch goes black, hum-daddy-o-day-o, you can whistle clear and they'll guide you back. Hum-daddy-o-day-o, hum-daddy-o-do. And once you know how the ditty goes, hum-daddy-o-do, means at the oaken door with the raven crest, you can sing for your supper and a good night's rest. Hum-daddy-o-day-o, hum-daddy-o-do.
I love that song.
You're not my supervisor!
I am not your supervisor, but I'm my wife's supervisor.
Wait,
peer supervisor. We
What
supervise
the fuck
each
are
other.
you talking about, man?
What are you talking about, man? What fucking song is this? We're gonna go over to my liked songs again. There's just full randomness, but songs I know I like. Oh shit, I can't make the quick platform. Never mind. I can. 'Cause America. I don't know when we need to head back, by the way.
Oh, right, yeah, because we can't sleep here yet.
Yeah, I don't think so, at least. Well, unless you have material to make beds. You do not.
So we should probably start going back.
Soon. I just need to explore a little bit more.
But I really don't want to be in here when it's night time.
No. Me neither. We won't be here when it's nighttime. Roar. You ready to run home?
Yes. I don't know which way.
Oh, I know the way. I know the way. No.
But next time, let's bring the material to make bedrolls down here.
Yes. 100% yes. It's just cloth, so I can bring that. We can just bring, like, some material in general. I think. Stones.
Spiders!
Spiders?
I need a better weapon for this.
Die, spiders. You have too many legs. We are legsists. Do not accept people with this many legs. Let's run away from the many-legged monstrosities. Roar. Oh my gosh, the sunlight. It's so beautiful in here. My lord. Thanks for the lurk, X-Gamer. Wait, isn't this the tin ore power? No, that's steel ingots. Let's see, we need just normal fucking copper ingots. You picked up all the copper ore.
No.
There's no copper ore out here on the pallets.
I didn't touch it.
Well, you said you had a bunch of copper. You mined a bunch of copper ore, right?
No, it turned out it was iron.
Okay. Oh my gosh, is this dinner? 2 steaks each? My lord. Thank you very much, Red. You should use this well with.
I made one of them for tonight and the other for breakfast.
Okay.
You ate 2?
Yes.
That's very unnecessary.
But it is dinner. And breakfast is always cranberry thingies.
No.
But having cranberries for breakfast gives you a boost.
But now you just wasted.
No.
Yes, you did.
No. Food in the belly is never wasted food.
But in game,
Still in a belly, right? Digital belly. Sleep time? Ouch. Alright, I'm grabbing some meat to take with us down, so we can have something to cook down there.
do we have the things to make bedrolls?
Yeah. Too much of it, even. There we go. Can also grab some coal. Bunch of wood. Some iron ore. We'll grab all our elven wood as well, for good measure. Yeah, I think we have enough to start a new life. No, come on. So annoying. Okay, bunny. Ooh, bat droppings respawn every time? That's kinda cool. Let's see here. Bedroll. Yay! Ooh, I rebuilt a room table. Cool. Do we want resources inside or outside? Okay.
I don't like it that I cannot fix the floor.
That's really annoying. Yeah, no. Floor is unfixable. There we go.
I don't think I want to play anymore.
Okay. Should we turn off for today?
I shall, yes.
You shall. Would you by any chance like another dwarf friend to play with? Hey, Demon Dog. Not right now. We're just turning off. Yeah, we're leaving. We are running away for today. In the darkness.
We have played for quite a while, right?
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, damn.
I'm such a gamer.
Lizard. 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 lizard, 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 lizard,
Someone
lizard.
redeemed Kiss Wife. I think I have
just
seen
redeemed
that
his
wife.
wife. Smooch the wife.
Yes?
Lizard, lizard.
You can catch me.
You're caught.
Oh no!
So stupid.
Hey!
So stupid.
Be nice.
I refuse to be nice. Oh my gosh. Alright, gang. We're gonna raid a friend of ours, Seven. She's playing Baldur's Gate at the moment. We're gonna... We're gonna annoy her. 7 minutes TTV. Yes. Wonderful. All right, so we're rating 7. Thanks for watching, everyone. Me and the wife will most definitely keep playing Return to Moria some other time. We both love the game. So thanks for watching. I'll see you probably tomorrow morning, honestly. Monday mornings. Bye.